From my recollection, remember, I've been competing for about 30 years. I started in 1994. I've never heard this ever happening in 30 years at any competition around the world. Coach Greg, in today's video, we have a top Mr. Olympia bodybuilder who gets assaulted at a professional bodybuilding competition by the backstage crew, or perhaps some goons. We don't know exactly what happened. And so the guy's name is Michael De Bull. Perhaps you haven't heard of him, but he's a top-level competitor in the men's classic physique division. I met this guy. He's wonderful, polite, nice, and extremely shredded, has an amazing physique. And I'm thinking, imagine if this were someone just a little bit more famous. Imagine if it were Ramon Dino, Chris Bumstead, Derek Lunsford, or heavens forbid, a guy like Ronnie Coleman or Jay Cutler. Imagine being put into the hospital, being beaten up by 4 men. So I'm going to be going over what happened. I'm going to be using footage from Nick Strength and Power, who did an excellent story describing exactly what happened.
There was a classic physique pro that was assaulted at a pro show in the UK. At the One Bro Pro Show.
The reason for why he got assaulted, the reason why this happened, is because he had an opinion. An opinion. He commented on a show, trying to help the sport.
So the first story that Michael posted was a picture criticizing the show on his story. So this pro show that we just talked about, the One Bro Pro Show.
And so I see no harm in this. He said, the competition's a little pricey. Maybe you could give us a better deal. Maybe you could charge only $50 to see each show, or perhaps the $65. You could see any show that you want. That's his opinion, and he should have the right to say it. And to the same extent, you can say, for example, GO2 Max or Turk Builder, that's too expensive, that you want to pay less money. Well, did you know that creatine is literally half price on my website? If you're looking for a deal on creatine, click the link in the description, code Greg, 15% off. And by the way, it's half price. And so remember I made a video a couple weeks back and I was talking about how bikini competitions are overtly sexual, that they're wearing those stiletto clear heel shoes and walking out in a thong and their hair's covering their backs. Imagine if I then would get beaten up for saying that. And so this, to me, the exact same thing. You're literally silencing and canceling a guy for speaking out about a competition. Imagine you go to a 5-star restaurant, you come back, you make a review. Hey, the food didn't taste very good. It was very expensive. And then 4 guys then beat you up. That is similar to what happened to Michael De Bull. And so does anyone out there think that it's okay to resort to violence because somebody has an opinion? We all have an opinion. He can say it's too expensive. You can say, no, it's not. You can justify it. That's okay. But to cancel and silence someone for doing this, put him into a hospital, I hope nobody think that this is okay.
Now, 3 stories later, he posts a picture of him with a black eye. And he says how the UK treats athletes at pro shows.
3 stories later, he's posting a show and he's clearly been beaten up. Broken nose, couple broken ribs, his eye swollen. He's going to the hospital. Now, remember, we can't say this is every pro show in the UK. This is an isolated incident, and I don't think it's fair to say that the UK is somehow not a safe place to attend bodybuilding competitions. And so he writes, I'm okay, guys. Couple broken ribs, partially broken nose, still waiting for the assessment of my left eye. I got beaten up by 4 guys at 2 Bros Pro Show. When the show was completely done, I asked one of the security guys to let me into the backstage to tell my partner where I'm at. The security told me I could go in as the show was completely done, and when I was inside, I was carried out by 4 security guys who jumped from nowhere and punched me several times. Police has arrested 2 of them and are still looking for the others. They have taken many statements of people who were there, and they watched the CCTV cameras as well. I'm going to press charges. And if you've watched my previous stories, you will know why they did it. And so clearly, because of the post that he had made, we got 4 guys who jumped him, punched him, beaten him up, and carried him out of backstage. And so in case you're thinking, hey, maybe he shouldn't have been backstage, maybe they were just trying to get him out. Do you really think it would have to result to a guy being put in the hospital to be told to leave the backstage area? A guy who's a top 6 Olympia champion? And so imagine this was Chris Bumstead, Ramon Dino, Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, whoever. Imagine they went backstage to get their partner, tell them something, and they're being carried out into the hospital. Shouldn't happen. Can't happen. This is wrong. I have always been and will always support the IFBB Pro League. When I criticize a small show, it's because I want the sport to get better and nothing else. And so there you have it. We learn more from debate than we do from hate. He should be able to talk about the IFBB the same way that I do in order to grow the sport. And so he's saying, hey, the prices are too expensive. They should have done this. They should have been able to see 3 different shows at the same time. He has a right to that opinion. But imagine being silenced, being beaten up, being put into hospital for having an opinion. How is anyone else going to feel safe?
So I spoke to him, and I asked him if he thought that the promoters were involved in what happened to him, and he said 100%. He says in 2019, 2020, the same promoter banned him from the shows.
And so Nick Strength and Powers literally talked to him and said, do you really think that the promoter had anything to do with this? And why do you think that? And so this was his response.
He said several times when we were talking, I'm no angel. I'm not saying I'm an angel. But he says, I didn't do anything wrong, and I didn't break any rules, I swear.
And so essentially sounds like there's a little bit more to the story. And so these 4 security guards would have went and said, hey, you can't be back here. And he's saying, yeah, but that security guard says I could come here. I just had to tell my buddy we got to leave. And they're like, get out of here. And so perhaps he proceeds to then give him the middle cookbook finger. And so that apparently pissed them off, and they decided to take matter into their own hands. Now remember, when you're a security guard, you can't just beat someone up because you don't like them, because they gave you the finger, perhaps they said something mean. When you beat someone up and put them into the hospital, it's kind of unjustified, especially when it's 4-on-1. I'm sure there were better ways to handle this, and obviously using excessive force is not one of them. Remember, there are multiple witnesses, and it was caught on camera. And so I don't think that Michael DeBull is going to make up and lie about a story when it's literally being caught on camera. And so the IFBB Pro League, they responded with this message. While we await for details from the local authorities about the incident that occurred with the venue security at a UK event, we want to reassure our competitors and attendees that no one should feel unsafe at any of our events. And so from my recollection, remember, I've been competing for about 30 years. I started in 1994. I've never heard this ever happening in 30 years at any competition around the world. And so although this has happened one time now, I still believe it's very safe to attend bodybuilding competitions.
It's totally unacceptable. If IFBB promoters are having goons beat up guys that are criticizing the show, and mind you, very light criticism.
And so think of it, if the promoter has a vendetta against this guy, he's getting his security guards to go and beaten up from something that perhaps happened in 2019, 2020. This can't be happening in competitions. This is something that should be dealt with in private, and I don't believe that violence here is in fact the answer.
This was not like bashing the show. His story was extremely light criticism. He was just talking about the price being $15 higher than the ROWK.
And so remember, I don't care what kind of criticism he made. He's talking about the price of the show. I don't care if he said, this is the worst show I've ever been to in my life. It was horrible. The lighting was bad. The seating was bad. It was annoying. I hated every minute of it. I would hate to see anyone ever go to the show, never go to the show. If he says everything horrendously horrible about him, still can't get beaten up. It would be analogous to people saying, hey, ActiBuilder and GO2 Max, I don't think it works. It's dog shit. It's bullshit. It's BS. It's snake oil. It doesn't actually work. Even though they haven't read any of the science, even though they don't know any better, and even though they haven't tried it, they still have the right to say, it sucks. I wouldn't buy it. Coach Greg, he's an a-hole. You can say all of that. But what you can't do is beat someone up for having an opinion. Imagine if I said, hey, I'm going to pay some people off. Hey, somebody said something bad about my company. Get rid of them. Don't tell me what you did. Get rid of them. Put them in a hospital. Imagine doing that. It's wrong. And so remember, if you're interested in any of my supplements, remember creatine is in fact half price. It's going to be extended, this sale. We want more people than last time to get a hold of creatine, which we know has 1,000+ studies saying how effective it really is in the real world. And I know I'm saying ActiBuilder, GO2 Max, that Turk Builder, they're more impressive than creatine. I would take those supplements for myself over in fact creatine. I'm saying that because that is what I believe. If you don't believe it, you don't have to. I've read the science, I've used them personally, and so that is my opinion based on what I, in fact, know.
I encourage you guys, share this video, like this video, send it to the IFBB. I really hope that this thoroughly gets investigated.
And so if they are in fact proven guilty, get them the cookbook out of the IFBB. can't be promoting shows and doing this. This is ridiculous. I mean, think of it. If you beat up Michael DeBull, give him a concussion, should there not be repercussions for these actions? And remember, I'm wearing suits from LGFG Fashion. They're cool, they're soft, they're malleable. You can move around in them, so many different styles. And so if you're interested in being a salesperson for guys that give suits to guys like myself, Ronnie Coleman, and so many others, please go visit lgfg.com. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost your algorithm. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it. Click and watch on one of those two bloops right there. Don't forget about the cookbooks, the Circle Diet book and the training book, PDF and the hard copy, as well as the free diet and training program. It's close to 50 pages in length. Become one of the 300,000 plus newsletter subscribers. Also, coaching plans by me and my team and the phone consults. Head over to my website, code Greg 15% off. And until next time, I am out.